Welcome to another episode of Harrell Wrestling Talk Podcast. I'm Jonathan Harrell and my co-host Jacob Harrell, and definitely this week we're going to be taking our special segment to Reality of Wrestling promotion when we interview Bryan Keith. But before we do that, we've got a full list of headlines including Santino Marella, Emma, CM Punk, and we're going to pause for effect here, Sting. Yeah, I said it. We're going to be talking about Sting. But Jacob, before we start grabbing our baseball bats and our mask, we're going to start with a little Raw review. The July 7th episode of Monday Night Raw was packed with matches, but felt more like fillers to me, probably until they get closer to the pay-per-view. Just to name a few matches, though, we had Reigns and Kane, we had some Diva matches, RVD and Rusev, Orton, Dean Ambrose, Ziggler and Del Rio, the Usos and the Wyatts. We even saw The Miz and Jericho. We saw John Cena and even some Bo Dallas and Bret Hart. But what was your take on this week's Raw, Jacob?
I agree with you. It was kind of a filler. They're trying to they already have the matches in place, but they filled it up so fast that they have to keep these feuds and stories going. So any members of the Shield, all their stories are good. Like the Rollins, that storyline's going good. The Reigns, and even Ambrose, they all are gaining momentum. I kind of think everyone else besides the tag team with the Wyatts is starting to kind of slowly lose momentum. Even like the Miz, Jericho, and then the Wyatt, it's kind of, there's no identity yet with that in my take. But I loved the fact the concept of the Authority was on vacation and Reigns just beat the crap out of Kane, and him calling him out and the fans chanting John Cena sucks, and Reigns goes, yeah, when Roman Reigns is in the ring, John Cena does suck. Ate it up. But what do you think?
I exactly on all those points that you kind of talked about. Just kind of going on some other things. I still don't know where they're going to put The Miz. He feuded with Jericho, but obviously it wasn't meant to be the feud. And again, for another week in a row, I enjoyed the Sandow bit, only for it to crash and burn like regular style. I was really disappointed with Bo Dallas, though. For his character to be successful, they can't put him in these type of matches, these comedic matches, and that's what's hurt Fandango. And I feel like this is starting to head down the same road where they're like, well, let's just kind of get a laugh out of him, and that's not how he got built in the NXT, and I don't think it's going to work in the WWE. So I would definitely like to see something different there. And I just don't know what, like I said, we talked about fillers, and I think John Cena is just kind of waiting around till we get to SummerSlam.
Right. And real quick with Bray Wyatt, it's kind of weird. We haven't really seen him in action lately. I don't know if maybe he's suffered an injury without them telling, but he's doing all the promotions for Battleground. So you kind of think he would have a couple wrestling matches here or there. Battleground pay-per-view is starting to shape up with the upcoming pay-per-view only 9 days away. The Fatal 4-Way match is obviously in set for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Jericho versus Wyatt. Rusev versus the Real American Swagger. And obviously more members are being added per each show, it seems like, for the Intercontinental Battle Royal match, which included Sheamus, Fandango, and Ziggler. What are you expecting to come out of the Battleground pay-per-view?
I think it's a glorified Raw where they are using this to set up SummerSlam, and that's kind of, they handle it really well as far as WrestleMania. They have a lot of build up, and the pay-per-views aren't letdowns building up to WrestleMania, but I feel like you have the Money in the Bank, and now all of a sudden you have this just kind of random pay-per-view that's just a filler until you get to SummerSlam. So I don't know. And now I'm sure there's still going to be good matches. I'm excited for the Rumble. I'm excited to see Jericho and Wyatt. Um, but I don't know if anything's going to change or if it's just all of those matches really are going to get continued pretty much to SummerSlam.
Right, and because we could sit here right now and tell you what's going to happen. I mean, Cena's going to win. They're going to screw over Reigns. Probably more than likely Bray's going to win. Rusev's going to win. So, I mean, those things. The tag team match. Who knows what could happen with that? Because that's been kind of exciting back and forth kind of battle. But you're right. This is totally a setup for SummerSlam. It doesn't really have its own identity. So I agree with you with that. Who do you think's going to win the Battle Royal?
Um, Man, I mean that's a hard one. I know on the main event show they were kind of talking about maybe unifying since trying to get the U.S. title and the Intercontinental title, which I'm kind of against just because I'm so against of unifying the top two belts. And so if I'm going to have to pick somebody, um, maybe how about a Ambrose? How about we go with Ambrose?
Yeah, I'm going with it's probably going to be Cesaro or possibly the Miz because Miz has nowhere to go basically.
That's a good pick there. Santino Marella announced at a house show this week that he would be retiring from wrestling due to a third neck injury. He said earlier in the week, though, that he was ready to start winding down his career, but he was interested in staying on as possibly a non-wrestling role. Do you have any good fits for him, possibly maybe for the network or anything like that?
I mean, no, I can't think of one where he would do it. Maybe the pre-show, post-show stuff, but don't put him as a GM. Please don't do that. It's one of those situations with him. Maybe sign him as a Legends deal where he does stuff with the network and does all the countdowns still, does some of these interviews for like WrestleMania Rewind, but kind of stays off of TV. What do you
Yeah,
think?
and I agree with that. I do kind of like his comedic reliefs on the countdown on WrestleMania Rewind. It's always good for a laugh, but I I could see him, a couple years from now, maybe being a surprise entrance in the Royal Rumble or something like that. But I just don't know. I mean, he's 35, and like we said, it's his third neck injury. So I think this is kind of a good way to kind of go out. And I definitely applaud the WWE for they didn't give him a spot on Raw or on SmackDown, but for him to go out there and express to the fans, kind of outside of his character, outside of being funny, that he, thanking the fans and saying, "Hey, I'm sorry I can't come out here and wrestle tonight, but I'm stepping down." So I really appreciated that from the WWE.
Right, and it's one of those situations where Santino was never really a A-plus player kind of a concept to where if John Cena had his third neck injury retired, of course they're going to give him a spot on Raw. Now Santino, he never really had very much of an impact outside the comedic roles enough to say, okay, we're going to give a 15-minute segment in honor of Santino, even though it's the nature of the business. People get hurt and he did a great job as a comedic wrestler. It wasn't an impact to give him kind of a farewell per se.
Right.
WWE diva Emma was arrested late last week for shoplifting at a Walmart. She mistakenly took an iPad case worth $21. Shortly after arrest, the WWE released the young diva only to reinstate her shortly after. What do you think this means for Emma?
We kind of just barely touched on this on the last episode, just mentioning it really. And it's the most bizarre thing that I think I've heard regarding somebody getting released and maybe ever because I mean, it was the same day she got reinstated. And so I don't know if this is like an accident where supposedly it happened at a self-checkout, and so the only thing I can think is she thought she scanned it, stuck it in there, or who knows. But she's got to have a good lawyer or something. Somebody was getting ready to sue somebody, and they were
Right.
like, "Hey, we got to get her back in."
Right. I mean, she didn't really have much of a role outside of Santino, so she's gonna have to develop a new one anyway. But yeah, you're right on that. It sounds like it was someone's gonna fight back, and with those budget cuts, they were like, you know what, we'll hire her back and not worry about a lawsuit.
Right, and like you said, she hadn't been seen for a while, and they did try her, really with Santino and getting her out there with Fandango, and I think for maybe because this was like a time period where they did this same exact match, same everything, and it was like every week at Raw for like a month, and it like just got boring really quick. And I think she went over really well with the crowd, like the very first time she came out there doing her, her dance. But then after that, you know, everybody saw it and saw it and saw it, and then you don't give her an actual Divas match, and so it just like Fandango, just like all these other guys, then all of a sudden, what do you got to do?
Yeah. And she's one of those people, she has great talent. If you watch some of her matches, she can wrestle. I wouldn't say she's like Charlotte. Charlotte's Ric Flair's daughter. That was probably Charlotte versus, who was it? It was Natalie. That was probably a match of the year if you watch on the NXT. I believe it was Arrival. But she's one of those people that she needs to get out of the comedic role and let her just wrestle.
Yeah. 7-14-14. Those are the numbers wrestling fans like Jacob and myself have been waiting for years. And it's basically been since April since we've last heard a tweet from the iconic Sting. But we got two huge ones on Tuesday. First, it was a dark photo of kind of his famous white face paint, followed by just happens to be next Monday's date. Does this mean we'll finally get to see him in WWE, or will we have a highly rated Raw with tons of disappointed fans?
I pray, listen to me, WWE, have Damian Sandow come out as Sting. That would be the greatest thing ever. I was just thinking of that.
I
Like
didn't even
Sting
think of
Dow or
that.
something.
Yeah. Oh
No,
my goodness.
see, to me, WWE's really good about like Jericho and different things. They don't really like pushing the issue like this. So I'm guessing that we're going to get our first kind of promo video, a vignette per se, of Sting and the whole body double kind of thing in the orchestra that we've been talking about previously. And they're going to start this vignette of the Icon's return or something like that, or something in the darkness. And that might lead to maybe closer to December, maybe draw it out 6 months. I don't know. What are you thinking?
I would like that. I would like it to be something quick, something short, and go, maybe once a month, maybe a couple times a month. You see it, glimpses of it, get people to tune in. And as soon as I saw that, I instantly cleared my schedule for Monday night, and I'm gonna watch it live. And I'm not a person that watches Raw live. I DVR it. I fast forward through commercials. Fast forward through maybe some of the matches. And so for that just to draw me, can't imagine how many people are going to watch this match just because of, two tweets that Sting sent out. And if it happens to be Sandown coming out there,
That would be so funny.
it would be the greatest gimmick ever. And so, but we'll have to see. And since they announced the new game last week, or yeah, so maybe it'll be a video game thing, but I really hope that it's exciting, and I'll definitely be looking forward to it.
His face paint, though, that looks amazing because it's the classic kind of curve around his cheeks and stuff. But if you look, instead of it being all black, there's just that little bit of red underneath his eyes that drip down, which is awesome. UFC's women's champion, Ronda Rousey, stated it would be cool for her to appear on the WWE. She's a huge WWE fan. She tweets about it often. Rumors going around that she'll be at WrestleMania 31. Would you be excited to see the tough MMA star come out to the WWE?
When I heard this, and I'm going to give you some examples, and it sounds exactly like these. You've got, and it's basically a Divas version of the Floyd Mayweather Jr. and, the Mike Tyson, getting somebody popular in a boxing or fighting sport, bringing them in, putting them out there on the stage. I, I look forward to it. I would like it. I think that it worked then. I definitely think it would work now. And, on top of all of it, she's not bad to look at, so that's not going to hurt anything. But I think trying to think of how they could play it, I could see them doing a Divas Championship match, and almost be like the Chris Jericho and the Mickey Rourke that they had at WrestleMania, where he kind of came out and kind of taunted him, and he came out and they had this standoff. And I think that's where I could see it going a little bit more. But what's your takes on it?
Yeah, I don't think she's going to be there long term. She actually, Roman Reigns' official Twitter account said, hey, back when they were in the Shield, we need a fourth member. We need a female one. And she's like, I'm down with that. But, I mean, I would love for her ideal situation, because she has a quick and wicked armbar to put it on Del Rio and give him a piece of his own medicine. But I think you're right. It'll either be Paige or AJ, maybe AJ, and maybe AJ will take a punch from her and just drop her, kind of a situation.
And I could see it almost being like, she's got the armbar, and, AJ Lee's got her submission, and so maybe it's just like they put each other in each other's submissions, but I think it would be pretty large for, almost the female, because I know a lot of females just watch UFC just maybe to see her. So
right, it'll be huge ratings, and ESPN and a lot of networks would pick it up.
Yeah, a lot of outsides. Well, July 17th is rumored to be CM Punk's last day on his contract with the WWE. He hasn't been seen or heard from officially in a while, but that doesn't mean fans have forgot about him, as they continue to chant his name, usually a couple times at each event. Even with Punk's unlikely return, the WWE may even extend his contract to prevent him from possibly going to TNA or maybe even a UFC. It would be definitely a costly move to pay somebody basically to stay at home, but do you think that would be worth it, or do you think this could possibly still be all a ploy?
I don't think it's a ploy anymore. I think you're right with the fact that they're talking about preventing him to go to possibly, I wouldn't say TNA. TNA needs John Cena, CM Punk, Dolph Ziggler, and Wade Barrett to really fix TNA's problems. But I think it's more for the UFC, because that would be the biggest moneymaker and probably draw a little bit. But I think it's time to cut ties. I think Vince is focused in on his return so much that he could return, that Vince is kind of afraid to let him go more than anything.
Mm-hmm. And I even read some things today that said, because the AJ Lee return was just kind of just bizarre, really, with her winning the belt, like she did, that they were conspiracy theories that this all went down that way to try to get CM Punk to say, hey, come on, why don't you come on back? We're treating your wife good here. And so I still don't think he'll be back. I think he's probably done for a long time, until he comes back 4 years later and gets paid a ton. But for the time being, I think he's done.
Yeah, and to all the CM Punk fans, CM Punk's an amazing wrestler, but why would you want someone to come back and not be happy and not willing to do, if he's not getting pushed the way he wants to? I mean, this guy was the longest running champion of a modern era, and he was afraid he wasn't getting pushed good enough. I mean, so it's one of those situations where it's almost better that he's doing this, because if he's not happy, he shouldn't be competing.
Right, and it's too, you cheer for him, but then at the same time, the reports are he did, completely walk out, and so it's not, oh, well, I didn't like where I was at. Well, I'm sure Sandow doesn't like where he's at either, and Ziggler doesn't like where he's at, and they show up every night as well.
More troubles are reported for the expensive WWE Network WWE Network will be given another free week to all who want to do it without giving a credit card to try to get new subscribers. The network needs 1.4 million subscribers reported to turn a profit. Last report, which was in April, that there was 667, so little bit under halfway to reaching that profitable mark. And it's also said WWE is telling its some of its sponsors and people that give them money that they were hoping to reach 2 million subscribers by the end of the year. What do you think the future is for the network?
It's a work in progress. I mean, it is a slow start. All they really need is just to get some of these people locked in. I think it'll maybe get some more people come SummerSlam, get some more people towards WrestleMania. But I mean, I like it, and they just I don't know. It's obviously, if you want to watch the pay-per-views, and they've had higher numbers for pay-per-views in the past, I just don't see why you spending that much money one time and you can get it for almost the whole entire year.
Right.
Why they haven't got more subscribers yet, and I think they're probably thinking the exact same way.
The kind of things that come to my mind is I'm sure with it so many branches of streaming for it that they probably haven't worked out all the kinks to stop illegal streaming, because I'm sure that's been a lot easier to access now with it being on the Xbox and different things. I think future for the network wise with main event especially, you're going to see a lot better matches because they're going to want people to watch these things that are only on the network. So like the Del Rio Sheamus match today on the main event, it was a last man standing match, which I can't remember the last time last man standing match has been on Raw. So I think that's a big thing. The Monday Night Wars, which we will talk about here upcoming, that I think will help too.
Yeah, and like you said, it's all about getting better matches and getting more publicity towards the network. And I almost think that main event has got to be their second show in priority right behind Raw. Well, they had a Monday Night Wars sneak preview if you were able to catch it on the WWE Network after Raw. I was actually excited for it when I heard it. You actually texted me and let me know, and I was actually with my wife, and we were on vacation, and so I forgot all about it by the time it got to it and didn't get to see it, so I was super bummed, and it's off the network already. So I did been able to see the trailer though, and so I'm still pumped about it, and this is what got me excited about the network ever since they first previewed it. Are you as excited as I am?
Oh yeah, I watched it. I actually kind of dozed off because it started at 11 o'clock after Raw, and it was amazing. I told you before off the air that I've watched. I have a video on the Monday Night Wars. I've read a little bit and a couple books about it. They brought up some stuff, especially the first episode was over the origins of how Ted Turner turned W W it was a WWCW or something like that into WCW, and it was a lot of information. I was just like, that's awesome. So, and it's some film that if you've seen it before, there's some stuff that they rerun and re-air, but overall it was good. I can tell you that with this, if I had WWE Network when I was in college, I would not have graduated from college because I probably would have spent way too much time on that instead of my books.
And I've seen, because they have an actual DVD that's kind of the same premise, and I hope that we get to see some new interviews, maybe even some new footage. I hope they didn't show everything in the DVD that came out, and then this is on.
Yeah, I own that DVD, and like you said, actually they had a lot more. They were interviewing like Lex, Undertaker, and it was actually surprisingly they go in an extreme amount of detail because it's a 20 episode series they're going to have. So like the origin story and stuff, I didn't know a lot of the stuff they told.
And I will probably this will probably be something, even though you can catch it whenever you want, this will probably be something that I will be ready for. I'm guessing it'll probably be Tuesday nights, and I will probably try to watch it live as best I can, just because, it's right around our childhood, and I think it's, the best time in wrestling.
Yeah, I got goosebumps watching some of the stuff because I forgot about some of the stuff they brought up.
Well, now moving into our special segment here on the Wrestling Talk Hotline, we have a member of the Reality of Wrestling. We have Bryan Keith. Want to thank you, Bryan, for taking some time with us just to answer some questions.
Yeah, definitely. I thank you guys for having me, man.
Yeah, no problem. So, Reality of Wrestling, can you explain kind of what promotion that is for those who don't know that's listening?
Yeah, Reality of Wrestling, pretty much, man, we're the flagship of Texas Wrestling. Just trying to make it, whenever people hear wrestling in Texas, we want it to be referred straight back to Reality of Wrestling. A premier company, growing big in Texas. That's what it is.
Now,
owned by Booker T, actually, Hall of Famer.
Yep. King Booker.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you're getting ready to come out to the ring, what's your ring call? What's the announcer kind of do when you're on your way out there?
From Greens Point, Texas, the quickest kicks in the South, Bryan Keith. And then I come out, of course, to do my, I actually have my own little call that I do myself, actually, if you guys want to hear that.
Oh, yeah, let's hear that.
Yeah, well, you ready for it?
We're ready.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all right. Okay.
Is that where the guns come out, the bang, bang, bang?
That's where the bang, bang, bang comes out, man.
Right on.
That means it's game time.
So with the concept of the quickest kicks in the South, where did that come from?
Oh, man, my dad, he's like a big fan of cowboy movies. So my thing at the time, it was kind of like a cowboy, and I was thinking, like fastest guns in the West type thing, or, like quickest draw or something like that. So I was thinking like my influence is kind of like, Japanese kind of strong style influence, heavily on kicks. So I was like, what can I do, make that work for me? And so it just popped up to me one day, quickest kicks in the South, kind of just rolls off the tongue,
Yeah, it definitely sounds pretty good.
You have some wicked kicks.
I want to see on a t-shirt.
Do they sell t-shirts for Reality of Wrestling?
Yeah, they definitely do. RealityofWrestling.com. I mean, I don't have a t-shirt yet, that's for sure. But we got a bunch of Reality of Wrestling t-shirts, yeah.
There you go. You have some wicked kicks from the videos I've seen, so it makes sense with the name.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Now, when did you decide that you kind of wanted to be a wrestler?
Ever since the age of like 9 years old, man. I got like a photo of me for a career day in my school, and all the kids, want to be like firefighter, policeman, things like that. And I walk up and I'm like, well, I want to be a professional wrestler. And luckily they had like a random like tag team championship build, and I took a picture doing like the Rock's eyebrow with like Macho Man in the background, and it says like on that picture, whenever I grow up, I want to be a professional wrestler. So like ever since 9 years old, man, and even to this day, whenever I just feel down or anything, I just refer to that picture, like telling myself, hey, I continued that dream.
So was The Rock your favorite wrestler when you grew up?
At the time, yeah, he was like my favorite. Whenever I was like 9 or something like that. Now, when I got into my teens, it kind of started to be Jushin Thunder Liger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Real quick, can you do something for us? Can you give us, if you smell what The Rock's cooking, can you give us one?
I got you. Of course I can. I mean, I probably can't do it as good as he can, but I can try. That's for sure. All right, here we go. If you smell what The Rock is cooking.
That's actually, this sounded like him.
That's pretty good.
That was good. So
in the mirror, I used to do that every day as a kid.
Who had the most influence on your wrestling style?
I'd say like I said, in my teens, I started watching Jushin Thunder Liger more, and I just like that whole junior heavyweight type of wrestling style, like especially whenever Chris Benoit was over there, Eddie Guerrero were in Japan, and like Dean Malenko and Taka Michinoku. Like I just like that super junior heavyweight style.
Right, kind of like the cruiserweights for WCW.
Yeah, Brian Pillman, stuff like that. Like I just watch a lot of stuff like that, and of course, like there's guys like I'm not that old actually. I'm only 22, so I mean, I was even watching, like whenever PWG first started and like, Ring of Honor and stuff, I'd watch like, those guys, they pretty much just go at it. It's like live action Dragon Ball Z or something like that, Yeah, yeah. So that interests me as well.
Reality wrestling's in, Texas. Where do you kind of train at then?
Oh, I train at a WXF facility, man. It's Booker T's facility. He's putting, all the athletes from the road go through there, and he trains us. We do tape study, pretty much everything we need to get to the next level. I just go there. Of course, I lift, on the side as far as, my weightlifting and stuff. I kind of do that away from the gym. I just go to the wrestling facility to wrestle mostly. But the place where I work out at separately is more of like, I don't know, I like being alone when I work out, so I just like to kind of just zone in, Now, it's like a little place off the map.
Now, do you, is it something every day that you go and train, or is it something maybe every other day?
No, it's definitely every day, man. Like, the way I approach it is like, as far as working out, I try to get like, let's say I go and practice, and wrestle maybe 3 days out the week, and I work out 4 days out the week. Mm-hmm. So I'm not attacking the same body part, though. I just, split it up between different days. So I just make it to where I don't get too tired.
Yeah.
Now,
but definitely every day.
Who's the most beneficial when it comes to helping you with training out of the facilities and people that help with that?
Booker T, first of all. I know maybe sometimes, people may run companies and it's more of like a figurehead and, they're just there just because of the name. But Booker T does a really good job of taking his time to, talk to the talent, knowing the talent on another level to where it's like a family, and he himself, takes that time out to where he can work with us and help us grow. But it's not just him, man. There's a guy, Kevin Bernhardt, he takes his time out of helping us production-wise, wrestling-wise, too. Other guys that are just veterans that have been there before me, like, Ryan Davidson, another guy, helps out a lot. Aiden Cristiano, they help out a lot as far as training and things like that. But, yeah, we help each other, man, everybody. We got to continue to grow as a team. Booker T definitely puts in that work, though.
Now, is Booker T kind of like what he is on screen, or is he different from his character from WWE?
And, I'd say he's the same, man. He's
Tell me, I did not just hear that, Bryan.
he's pretty approachable, and I think that's the cool thing about it is that you get to know him on a level to where it helps us grow as performers and stuff like that. But I mean, definitely whenever you're in there jacking around or messing up, he's gonna let you know. He's gonna be still that smash mouth, let you know straightforward. He's a really good guy, that's for sure.
So with wrestling, what's the most painful wrestling move that you can receive, I guess?
What's the most painful wrestling move I could receive?
For yourself, like
man,
someone
can do to you.
I'd have to say, and it's like pretty random, but a DDT.
Okay.
DDTs usually get pretty rough.
Now, is it just the landing of it, or what makes it painful?
I mean, it's a DDT, man. It's gonna hurt. That's for sure.
That's true. No matter what they do.
Anywhere I land, yeah, it's gonna hurt anyway. So I mean, it's like same for the power driver. Any way you take that, it's gonna hurt regardless. So I mean, you kind of just suck it up and do it.
Now, do you get to train with the guys that you're actually going to be wrestling with, or is it something where you're kind of thrown into the match and really hadn't had much time to prepare with the other wrestler?
It's never really like that. Like I don't really train with the wrestler that I'm wrestling before. I usually I work out, like I said, I go to the gym, we practice there, but I don't I don't really train, with the person I'm about to wrestle. I don't know, maybe it's just like a thing I do before my matches or something like that, but I don't really do it.
Now, do you for getting into characters and stuff, do you enjoy being like a heel or a face, or do you have a preference, or just kind of whatever they want to do with?
I mean, pretty much I'm just open to anything at the time. I mean, I love being babyface. I've been a face my whole career, pretty much. And I mean, it's always good, I guess, for the people to cheer for you. You know, like it's very motivating, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And I think I've done pretty well as a face. I was only heel whenever I was working, you know, other Texas Indies and stuff like that. I worked heel a little bit, but when I did it, you know, I liked it just because, you know, it's like you get to jaw jack with people, you know. It's pretty cool, you know. I'm a guy that likes talking mess, you know. I'm from Texas.
What's the cheapest heat that you ever did as a heel? Can you think of any?
Heat, man.
Like,
Let's see. Cheapest heat I ever did as a heel. I think I knocked this kid's Coke down and ate his nachos. Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Now, do you find it's kind of maybe is it more challenging to be you know, a face just with you know, like you said with heel, you know, you can go out and knock somebody's Coke out. I mean, is it more challenging, or do you have to almost depend on the heel a little bit to look better, or?
I just let it I kind of just let it flow, you know. Either way, either role, you know, is being portrayed. I think it's not like I act the same, but you know, I just keep that same personality. You know, you just do whatever calls for the situation at the time. But you know, I just let it flow. You know, I don't feel like it really just rests on one certain person. You know, there's both you guys in there trying to make it happen. So you know, as long as the story gets across, that's for sure.
Right. So tell us a little bit about the upcoming pay-per-view they're doing. It's a huge deal with the Summer Champions.
Definitely, man. It's our first pay-per-view. Summer of Champions is going to be at the Humble Civic Center, and this is kind of big for me because usually we have our shows at the Clear Lake Rec Center. But compared to where I live at, you know, the people that I know, as far as my friends and family, it's kind of far for them. So, you know, I always hear like, oh, well, we can't make this one because it's far, or oh, I got to work and stuff like that. But Humble Civic Center is pretty close, so I'm hoping a bunch of my friends and family come out, as well as other wrestlers. We also got a bunch of sponsors. We got a bunch of, you know, people, you know, from like WWE. We got DDP coming, Devon coming, Teddy Long, Josh Matthews, Jinder Mahal, and you know, like they're still introducing more people, I believe. So, you know, the list is getting endless. We also got like other guys coming in from like up north. I think like the new Heavenly Bodies are coming in too. So it's just new faces and familiar faces. It's gonna be a huge pay-per-view, man. It's gonna be amazing. July 26th.
Now, do you have a match set for that then, or?
I'm not for sure. I haven't been told anything, but of course I train as if I am having a match. So I'm definitely gonna be ready for it, and I wouldn't want to miss out on the first pay-per-view. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Now they can buy tickets online for that through the website, I take it?
Yeah, definitely. www.realityofwrestling.com. And it's pretty much self-explanatory, man. As soon as you get to the website, it says, you know, buy tickets now, bam, click on that, and then you just follow instructions. So,
for those who are not from Texas, they do have free episodes online on YouTube too, Reality Wrestling does.
Yeah, we got Match of the Weeks that come up on YouTube. We also have, we come up on Channel 57, The Cube, here in Houston and some other areas around Houston. And then we have, we're on Soul of the South Network that airs, you know, up north, different places up there. But as well, that's on the website, you know, in the cities where we show in. And then, you know, like you said, we're also on YouTube. If you look on the Soul of the South, no, actually it's Vimeo. It's a website called Vimeo, Vimeo. And the Soul of the South Network has a channel on there. So you can actually just watch the shows from there too as well.
Now, speaking of the Match of the Weeks, you know, we did see that you were, you know, picked for the Match of the Week with Jonathan Gresham. How was that, you know, kind of getting that kind of honor on there? How did that feel?
It was definitely a great opportunity, man, and I thank God for it because a while ago, man, I just said a prayer for me to just be at Booker T's, you know, not even to be wrestling, but, you know, just to be there and be able to learn. And not only am I there, you know, I'm getting opportunities like this. So, you know, it's like whenever I first started going there, I saw him wrestle before. You know, he was just wrestling under a different name. And I liked him then as a younger person, and then now I'm growing up and like, what? I get to wrestle him? Like, it's amazing. And not only that, like his style like complements mine a lot too, because I like that Japanese strong style type junior heavyweight style of wrestling, and I just like it definitely stands as one of my favorite matches. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Now we both got to watch it, and so we definitely did enjoy it, and it was definitely an exciting match. So definitely something to be proud about.
Yeah, you guys flowed really well together during that whole thing, and especially for you not practicing with him, like you said, that's really impressive to me.
Yeah, he actually I didn't even meet him before that whole time, So like we go to Comic Palooza. I meet him that day of Comic Palooza, and then we have the match, So, like, that made it even better, It was just like a magical moment, It was like my Disney moment.
There you go. Now, if you were, just as a fan of wrestling, do you have a certain type of match that you enjoy watching? Like, even if it's like a gimmick type match?
To be honest, I definitely like, I guess, like, TLC matches and stuff like that, just because, like, ever since, like, that whole tag team match with, Edge and Christian and Hardy Boys and Dudleys and stuff like that, I was amazed by it. But to tell you the truth, like, my favorite match is just, like, a regular singles match, just because, there's really no extra stipulation or anything that could give anyone else an advantage. It's just, like, one-on-one, we're going to test my skills against yours right now, so...
And I think that's the typical wrestling answer, because we've actually interviewed a couple others, and when we asked that question, they're like, my favorite match is just a regular singles match. And so, I mean, I think we can tell that you're an actual wrestler, and Jacob and I are fans because we're kind of differ on that. So
right. So you don't like? No. Do you like being in matches though? They'll have a little bit of furniture, they call it, with the tables, ladders, and chairs, or is that something you kind of want to keep away?
I've done them before, but I was really stupid as a kid, and I tried that stuff as a kid in like backyards and stuff. So it's like whenever I just like take the slightest fall now, I kind of like pay for it. So I'm like, whenever it comes to things like that, I'm just kind of like, I don't know if I'm really down to get hurt more. But as far as entertainment value, it definitely provides like a huge entertainment value, and it kind of excites me whenever I see things like that, because it does just give you that extra outside factor to where it's like, it's not just me and the other wrestler. It's me, this wrestler, and this ladder or this chair or this table or this barbed wire, like it just makes the possibilities more endless. So I would do it. That's for sure.
Okay. So where can our fans find you on social media?
Social media, man. I'm on Facebook, Bryan Keith, BryanKeith. I'm on Twitter at capital TYGBK lowercase EITH. And I'm also on Instagram under that same @ sign. So you can find me Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for coming in. Hopefully we'll be keeping up with it, but hopefully you'll get a match in that Summer of Champions and possibly have you on later on in the year and talk about that.
Definitely, man. You guys stay posted, man. Like it's going to do nothing but just get hotter from here. The fact that you guys not being from Texas, it's just even better the fact that I get to share this with you and continue to branch out the road to different places. So, I mean, I want to keep in touch with you guys. If you guys want to keep in touch with me, that's just it.
Right. Actually, what's funny about this whole situation was I did a thing on Twitter, because I do a lot of the tweeting, and I sent out a thing, hey, just give us indie promotions, independent things that are not major like TNA or Ring of Honor. And one guy's like, Booker T's thing. And then that's when I looked it up, and that's how I found you. And then I actually ended up, I think you followed me after I followed Reality of Wrestling, and that's kind of how this whole thing ended up starting.
Definitely, man. So we just got to keep it going, man. I let people know about you. You let people know about the role. Scratch my back or scratch yours, sounds like.
Awesome.
Well, we'll definitely have you back in the show later on, and you're more than welcome anytime you want to come on as well.
That's what's up. I appreciate that, man. You guys got to get that post iPay-per-view interview again.
Sounds awesome to me.
All right, definitely.
All right. Thanks, Brian.
No problem, man. You guys be safe.
All right, now heading into our third and final part of our episode, we're going to kind of run down our final categories. We're going to start with what to watch on the WWE Network. This week they had CM Punk featured on the WrestleMania Rewind just to go along with all the theories that he may be getting re-signed. We also had Countdown did Thunderous Returns, so I'm sure that one will be great. What are you looking forward to watching?
I'm excited for the returns. They had some amazing returns in WWE. What's your favorite return if we're gonna go on this?
Man, I thought the John Cena one at Rumble was really well. I haven't got to see it, so I think once I'd see it would probably refresh my mind a little bit more. But definitely, I'm a big Rock fan, so just about any time The Rock came back from a movie, that I was always getting pumped up about that.
Yeah, he was when he was hosting WrestleMania. That return was just because that was a complete surprise. The fan ate it up. For me, I enjoyed the most was, and I've said this before, it was Chris Jericho. I believe it was 2010. He did the Save Us Y2J, and it was these creepy vignettes of these two kids, and they were just like, our savior is coming, and then all of a sudden it would just say Save Us, and it would have this code, and then all of a sudden it said Save Us Y2J, and the place freaked out. So I'm hoping that's on there.
Yeah, I'm sure that one's on there because that one's definitely a good one too. Well, moving on, we to our birthdays this week. Brock Lesnar was turning 37 on the 12th this week, and we also had Heath Slater turning 31 on the 15th. So we
The one-man band.
yeah, we got two birthdays. What about any kind of special anniversaries?
Well, in honor of all the Push Ziggler fans we have, Dolph Ziggler won his Money in the Bank briefcase contract on July 14th, 2012 at Money in the Bank.
And that was definitely a good cash-in too. I enjoyed that one.
That was awesome. I actually watched on Netflix the Best of Raw and SmackDown 2013, and that's on there, and that gave me goosebumps watching that again.
Yeah, so that was definitely a good one. Moving into our Twitter questions, we've got we got three of them today, and I'll go ahead and start with the first one. Raw is Gibby. He's definitely sent us some questions in the past. He's asking us, would it be possible that Cena turns heel on Reigns to solidify that Reigns as a top in the face of the company?
I don't see Cena turning heel. He's had so many chances to go heel. They had the situation with Ryback, and when CM Punk was the champ, and Cena was doing the feed me more and got out of the ring, and if everyone's like, he's passing the torch on. Well, in order for him to solidify Reigns as a top face, he needs to beat Cena, and Cena needs to turn heel. That's kind of the order of things, and I just don't see it happening. Do you see it happening?
I just don't see it happening.
Mm-mm.
I agree with you.
I could see him trying to push him towards the top face in the future, but until that youth movement happens where Cena, Orton, some of these older guys start getting less and less storylines, I just don't see it.
Yeah.
All right, we have another one. It's at WWE The Shotgun. How good do you think this Bray Wyatt and Chris Jericho feud will be?
I'm really looking forward to it. I think this is probably for Battleground at least, that's the match that I'm looking forward to the most. I think if they definitely need to handle Chris Jericho better this time, and so I wouldn't like it to be a Bray Wyatt John Cena where it kind of got dragged on for a little bit, where you get these kids coming out, and I don't know if they should go that far, but I definitely think that it can be a top feud for the summer.
Right. It'll be really good wrestling. I'd love to see Chris Jericho put Bray Wyatt in the walls of Jericho. I don't know how that'll work with his big frame, but he's flexible, obviously, with his crab walk.
Yeah.
So that I think it will be good too. I think that will be the best match out of all the matches at Battleground. besides the Battle Royal, which Battle Royals usually are entertaining just because of the type it is. But I think that will be the best match.
And I could definitely see Bray Wyatt, speaking of the crowd walk, him doing something weird and creepy come the Walls of Jericho time where he kind of spins out of it or does something weird to get out of it. But why don't you go ahead and get the last Twitter question that we have.
All right. Our last Twitter question's from a friend of ours at Matt Turmoil, which you can watch his podcast at mattturmoil.podbean.com. He said, being that you guys are WCW guys, what aspect of WCW kept you interested? Finally, we get a WCW question.
Yes. Really, I mean, because that was what we kind of grew up with, and it's kind of surprising because we didn't have cable when we were kids, and I want to say it was Saturday mornings, like at 8 in the morning, they had like just a little highlight show, and there was always Mark Martin sponsored it, and just really that was what we got to see early on. But what kept me interested was, you know, Sting and the NWO, and so really in that kind of time period was definitely my peak interest.
Right. Well, and with us, we never really grew up with the Federation to the point where it was Hulk Hogan and stuff. I mean, we'd had some of the wrestling buddies of Hulk Hogan and stuff, but I think we really grew with, we had some friends that we had through schools that loved WCW, and then we started watching some of that stuff with them. For me, it was more the realism of it. WWF at the time was more gimmicks and characters that are entertainment based, and WCW broke that edge to where it was realism and it was serious characters that went by their name, and that's kind of, I guess you can go besides Sting, but like the NWO and different things were just like so incredible that they went, and you're like, is that real or is that fake? And you couldn't know where the line was.
And I think we really started once they had SmackDown on a network television channel. I think we started switching just because it was more accessible, and we definitely started moving that direction.
Right, because you grew into The Rock, and
Yeah.
Once The Rock got out of the Nations of Domination, you kind of took over with him.
Well, heading into our final bit, our leaving thoughts. I'll give you 30 seconds on the clock, Jacob, and what are you going to rant about today?
I'm going to rant a little bit about The Miz. The Miz is, for most people, would consider a top-tier talent, but this seems like you had all this time, The Miz was ready, they've held him back, but they have no idea what they're going to do with The Miz. He's one of the guys like Christian you just bring in, and you're like, okay, we're going to put this guy over. So how are we going to put this guy over? We're going to have him lose, and we're going to have him lose again. We're going to have him lose again. Eventually, he'll get over, and it just doesn't work. If you look at Ryback, the reason Ryback did not work was because Ryback would never win. And if you're never going to give him a chance to win the title, he's never going to be relevant.
Well, I'm going to use my 30 seconds on basically this whole non-title on Raw crap. It's dumb. The Wyatts came in and beat the Usos, but it was for a non-title match. You know what? Back in the day, back when they had good wrestling, you didn't have 9 non-title matches. You beat a guy, you got the title, you got whatever he was bringing in. And so to build this match and to make it better just so you don't put the title on the line and gives the other people a chance to win, it's crap.
Now, see, to go off of that, I will say that back in the Attitude Era and stuff, they did a lot more number one contenders. They always had a contender. It wasn't, we beat the champion, so we're the number one contenders. It's not how it used to work, and that's kind of where they're at now, where it's just like, okay, we're going to have them beat the champs, so they're number one contenders.
Yeah. Well, make sure you tune in next week, and we'll do our picks for Battleground, our monthly pay-per-view picks.
Thank you for listening to Harrell Wrestling Talk. Listen and watch our next podcast every Friday. We would love to have fan interaction. So follow us at Twitter at HWT Podcast, like us at Facebook at HWT Podcast, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, HWT Podcast. Feel free to give feedback, corrections, and any advice is always welcome. We would love to have sponsorships. You can contact us at Harrell, Harrell, Wrestling Talk at Outlook.com. Last advice we will give you before we leave: if your girlfriend, wife, boyfriend, or husband says you watch too much wrestling, tell them that's impossible. Till next time, Wrestling World, keep listening and keep watching.